Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited to introduce our guest, Dowon Kim. He's a global producer at EO, one of the biggest entrepreneurship media companies in the world and the biggest in South Korea. The first question I'd love to ask is, you've interviewed hundreds of founders, like the founder of Evernote, the Michael Seibel of Y Combinator. What would you say are like some of the key insights you've learned from just interviewing hundreds of them?
I feel like, they're huge, huge founders. If I screw this up, like, I'm done. I
Yeah.
was thinking about that. And then I was trying to focus on not failing so much at the very beginning. And once I interview them, like, we always ask about what was the biggest challenge and what was the biggest failure. And then they are always saying, like, there are so many failures. And then I start to realize that failure is basically anywhere. Like you're going to nowhere, and then you're not gonna know what's gonna happen next, but you're gonna try. So like the standard of failing was super high at the very beginning. It gets decreased. Like obviously failing is very hurt. Like I don't want to fail too, but um, but right now you can prioritize what part you're gonna fail. So that means the failing basically becomes like trying. So that's the biggest lesson I learned so far. Life in general.
Mm. Yeah, definitely a lot of the founders I interview, after the conversation, they usually mention like all the struggles they had, and it's like, wow, it just seems like a constant. And maybe just for like specifically just for entrepreneurs, do you think there are like specific traits that you found amongst the people you interviewed? 'Cause there's a stereotype I see. It's just they're all super competitive people who had bad childhoods.
Sometimes, sometimes I feel like they're another species.
Really?
Obviously, they're human too, but like the since they have a super huge amount of responsibility on their shoulders, so I don't know. That makes them real, solid person, I guess. But I don't know. Like the for young founders that I met was very knowledgeable. Like because it feels like they take every lessons from Y Combinator and Y investors and from the books, things like that. They're super smart. Um, that's I'll say the builder types. And another part is just they're just satisfying that what they're doing right now because they've been working for another company but they don't like their job, so they quit, they start their own thing. So they really like the status basically. So that's another founders too, I guess. But later, I don't know, the another founders like older founders. I don't know, like I feel like they're humble. Obviously, they knows everything, every theory, things like the young founders know every theory, things like that. Um, but they have wisdom. Older founders, they have wisdom. So whenever we ask an advice, their wisdom almost every time shines. That's the two different trait I saw so far.
And then just I'm curious because there's some specific examples such as Michael Seibel. What was like the process like to meet him, if you can talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, the process itself almost the same, but sometimes different. But Michael Sabo one was like, we took another effort to get him basically. So, at the, it was just, right before we launched the global channel. It was like 2022 May in San Francisco. Me and Taeyong Nuri, another like production manager, we were there. We've been interviewing founders about like month. Almost every day we have on filming. So we took an Airbnb and we're moving around. And before that, we already interviewed the John Kim, who's the CEO of Stanford in Korea. We did several times, so we have a special connection between of him. And he was part of the Y Combinator batch back in like a few years ago, anyways. And he knows a Michael Sabo, so he at the time we didn't know him, so we basically John sent an email that referral email with Michael Sabo, and then Taeyong basically asked him, "Oh, like I saw him on his YouTube, but who is him?" Like that. And then John said like, that he was the boss of Y Combinator. So I realized that this is gonna be huge. And then we went to San Francisco, but he didn't reply to the email. So Taeyong decided to send an email every single day, and he didn't reply like for 3 weeks, and we got this like 4 or 3 days left, and then like Taeyong got mad because like we want to get him, but he didn't answer that. We only got a time like three days left. So but he decided to send an email twice a day, like lunch, dinner, whenever we eat snacks. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna send an email." Like whenever we eat really nice dinner, oh, dinner was nice. We need to send an email to Michael Sabo. So probably a day. We got an only just about the day, I think. And then we decided to have a nice dinner and or lunch, or we need to just we've been working so hard, so since we haven't there's only one day left, so we're gonna travel, we're gonna have some fun. But that day, Michael replied to us, and he said probably only 2 sentences on his email, like the address, time. So we canceled everything, and he was living at one of the residence hotel in San Francisco, and we went there. There's a concierge, so we need to like see. The concierge basically wants to see me before going into his apartment, basically. And then we got him. We had a really nice interview, and I didn't realize he's really tall and huge, big guy.
And then what's your like process of, like preparing for these interviews? Like, because I mean, you ask really good questions. Then it seems like a really like as if they spent hundreds of hours writing a really well written script, but it's not. It's the questions you ask. How do you manage to write those questions and research for these conversations?
So since I didn't interview Michael Sabo, I support the interview. Basically, if I think about this question as how do I make the questions, first of all, you need to research about him, like him or her. Like the if they have, you can search the prior interview. And what I do was just collecting the basically soundbite that our subscribers might like, and basically the journey that how they're building things like that. But for me, to be really honest, I just research about 50%. So that's the maximum, I think. The maximum percentage I can prepare. Rest of our 50% is up to interviewee. Now, it's not gonna perfect, but the interview is basically, I'll say,
To make a perfect
like
interview.
my 50% meets another
Yeah.
50%. And then it never reached 100%, but we can try as much as we can.
Yeah, like interesting. And yeah, so while you're interviewing and then afterwards you do the production. When you do the production, how do you like cut out and choose like which part of the stories to do and how to tell like a great story? Because it gets a lot of views. I enjoy it a lot.
So once we have an interview, it's gonna be like an hour or 2 hours long. Well, we cut out like another unnecessary soundbite. And then probably, let's say if we got an hour and a half interview, we have to cut out things. It's gonna be like an hour, and then we for me, I label every answer, and then whenever I listen to them, I leave the little star on the label, which is I like this part. I love this story. And then another thing after reviewing the whole hour cut out clips, you got the couple of stars right there, and then you try to connect. Like for this insight, I really like, but you need this story to support this insight. So that's what um I might make the story right now. And two things. One is just like telling it alongside the timeline, basically following their journey. We have a certain timeline that we can just follow his action and regret, mistake, anything. That's you can see the timeline once you finish the listening, everything. The second one is insight type. If the person is not popular, super popular, and they have a power in his voice, like whenever, and you see their face. If their face is very strong looking guy, or they have a wrinkle, but like he feels like if he like you can feel their power out of their appearance, right? So that for inside part, you can use those kind of traits from interviewees. So so the journey itself is not that interested, or is if there's a so too long, you cut out everything. You can just one insight, second insight, third insight, fourth insight. Instead, you need to very good hook in the very beginning, and the amount of number is how they got invested, how much they got invested, things like that on the very beginning to make to support his power. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, just another question I was thinking of is, you've also done in Korea EO Planet. You've worked as an EO Planet producer as well, and now global more. What would you say the differences in the founders you've met and interviewed, and like the startup ecosystem in Korea and like the other world, like outside of Korea?
I feel like every valuable information comes out of Silicon Valley. There's no difference. Like in Korea, we learn the knowledge from Silicon Valley. Let's say in Japan, they learn from the Silicon Valley. So that's all I want to say. I feel like there's no difference. It's just, it's about the problem they want to solve. The way that they want to solve is proper for their market.
I mean, you've had hundreds, millions of viewers who listen to you and who are entrepreneurs or people who want to be entrepreneurs. What do you think right now, people who want to be entrepreneurs, what do you think your content gives that really resonates with your audience, that gives so many views at the moment?
I'm not sure how much our viewers after watching my video are actually executing their insight from the video. But that's the reason I make the video. So I don't expect everyone think my video is really practical to my situation. That at least one person feel really motivated, resonated, I don't know, taking action, that would be great. So the thing that people are resonated from my video was power of a story, and the power itself is probably, I feel like in their the inter in is how do I say it? The power of a story is in the interviewee's heart. Basically, we have on our story, Um, and we love story, right? Like, we are all storytellers. Since I'm the one that actually curate for the stories for our viewers, since the question is so
Yeah,
difficult. So the thing that I really resonate um our subscribers are mostly stories,
story of like
um,
underdog story, like
underdogs or failure, struggles, desperate.
just talking about EO. I mean, I've been at your studio. You guys, I love the like the team and the culture. What would
Mhm.
you say about the team culture at your company? Like, how do you incorporate? Because you learn from other entrepreneurs. How do you like incorporate it into like your own company? If you know.
There is some the whenever I once we I don't know once I start my job, I got a chance to interview Jiyoung Park, the founder of Fast Track Asia in Korea. He's the one of the really successful like founders. He's basically he runs the several business and successful. So what he said was the culture was I'm not sure is this is the exact transcript, but uh, he he said the culture was building culture is not the how do I say it? If the CEO is claimed this is culture, that's not. The culture is created by the people who's working for the company. So that's 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 really true, I think, because for my company, my like every time I think the best welfare for companies, the coworkers, like obviously we have an like very talented producers in our company, and they're willing to do better, which makes me really motivated all the time. And they're funny too. Like they don't lose the humor while they're struggling. So they're also artists. They doing really great with like frame and I don't know, like building story, things like that. Like I could, I want to build, like it also motivates me. So like for describing culture is really difficult, but like really, I think our companies, our coworkers are really like each other and have a high trust and very transparent to each other because I don't know, they really trust each other.
What do you think? Some of transparency and authenticity. I think it for my like networking. I think plays a big role in some of the people I interviewed. But for you guys, when you guys are building these networks, meeting these people, what do you think contributed to you guys like meeting so many cool people and them trusting you and you getting interviews of them?
It feels like our founder is also customers. So satisfying customers makes you another customer, right? So if you think about the big broadcasting company, there's so many different jobs like producers, like chief producers, like writers, like co-producers. They don't share each other. Like they just do their own thing to get this basically interviews, I'll say. And then after interviews is done. Like you're doing great. Like your video is live. Thanks for participating. That's it. And the for us, we build a special bond. I feel like the the producer is also itself the co-producer, chief producer, writer. We do the basically a person do every other jobs. You're gonna be the filmmakers or like cinematographers. Since we're doing many other things at all at one, like we can be human. We have a room to be human to each other, and the founders are lonely. They're very lonely sometimes because if they're working for a company, they are just boss, right? They're given another job to another people. They're just their own thing. But other what I see is they rarely share their private things to each other. Somehow they, I probably say it's it's so much generalization. I mean, probably they did. They share a private story to each other, but for us, for media wise, um, and then so I mean the wrapping up the first answer is just building special bond is one other thing that things for successful interview, I think. And what else? And then for regular press, on let's say the advertising video, a lot of advertising videos doesn't have don't have narratives, basically story. It's about how they are doing well, how much they're invested, things like that. Like, but people are not interested in others' success. They want them to be crushed. They want them to be fail. But we are much more focusing on the failing part, and that story can resonate our viewers. Then makes an certain amount of views, which the PR team cannot made. That's another thing that they really liked, and in the viewpoint of customer satisfied. Um, so what we did is if the customer is satisfied, we ask them like, hey, do you have any like-minded people around you, and you would want to introduce them, and then they give us another customer, and then we try to do same logic.
You do referrals after like building, after satisfying, after doing a good job, doing what you guys did, and then asking for it, not before. And that has helped you grow exponentially. What would you say are some like memorable encounters or some of the interviews, some of the memorable ones you had where something was just cool stories like they told, which are really memorable and you still remember?
I can share two things. One is I think I didn't say that because the Phil Levin like he so 2 years ago in San Francisco, like I haven't had any like great figures on the interview, and then Taeyong wants me to do that, like Phil Levin, and you're gonna interview the founder of Evernote, and I know the Evernote, and then I didn't think about the interviewing with him, and probably I prepared for a month, I think, because I had lots of feedback on my question. So like so right now once I write a question, I always think about if this answer will be liked from our subscribers or not, because the question itself should be related to the interest of our subscribers. And at the time I didn't know anything because I write down the question based on my personal interest, and that's the problem. That doesn't create the story. And then but I didn't know anything, so probably I wrote down, I don't know, like 30 or 40 questions. And then whenever I start the interview, I was so nervous, but I tried to prioritize the insight first. And then whenever luckily his wisdom was just amazing. Like whenever he stares me like this way, it feels like the distance between him and I was super huge. I felt that distance. Anyways, whenever he answered the question, he covers like 2 or 3 questions at the same time. So I delayed the question while I was in the interview, and then what else? Yeah, it took another like 15 minutes. I just had an only hour-long interview, so I finished my interview at 15, and Taeyong jumps in. He starts asking the question that makes the story more like looking great. So it's basically our combination between Taeyong and I. and it was fantastic experience because it gives me another confidence. Yeah, like it gives me um the perspective that the I need to consider the viewers' interest. And second story was when I was interviewing Nas Daily, and I was in the Singapore, and we are trying to expand to our Southeast Asia. We know that Singapore has a really good, amazing like fintech startup. So we got a chance to go there, but about a week long. And then one of the guy who's working for a huge like fintech startup in Singapore knows about the Nas Daily, and then he introduced Nas Daily. But at the time, we just launched the channel. We post the probably over just only one video, and probably over 1,000 subscribers at the time. And then probably that means like we have nothing, like we nothing to show to the Nas Daily, but Nas Daily wants to participate in because we got Phil Levin and Michael Sabo, and he but I want Taeyong interview him because Nas Daily was just huge, so I was kind of nervous about them. But Taeyong needs to go to Korea, and then the Nas Daily one is like last day, like it happens the last day, so like we have no choice, so I need to push back my like flight schedule, and I'm staying with my another two coworkers, and I'm almost the only one that I can conduct the interview. So I went there. We went there, and I watched Nas Daily, every single videos of Nas Daily. He posted a 1 minute video, like thousands of 1 minute video, I guess. And then I watched everything. And then it was my last day, so I booked a really nice hotel. But I couldn't enjoy anything. I was staying in the room. I tried to finish the question as I was watching the thousands of 1 minute video. And then the interview went really well. He was just, I never seen those kind of guy finish every answer just 1 minute. So he shared his story, but obviously I made a mistake. But it was the first video that I reached 15K views. That gives a lot of, I don't know. I've never seen this number because at the time the largest views I got is 10K or something, and that boosted our channel. And like I felt that like having like doing this kind of way probably I wasn't sure at the time can we succeed in global, and then after I see those kind of thing like 50K views, probably I start thinking, oh, we can do it. Third one is with Chris Ye, the author of Blitzscaling. He was participating in a conference from written in Korean startup. The conference with, I don't know, written's conference, I don't know, like somewhere he need to participate in Korean conference. And I only got an hour to interview him, and then at the time Taewon was in the United States, and then that was the Thanksgiving break, and while it was Thanksgiving break, they tagged me and you're gonna interview Chris. I haven't read his book, so I decided to read the book during the break for my work. So I sent a question, and then he was just a so busy guy that cannot read an email because he received so many emails. And then I sent him, you should be on 10 a.m. And he, like, whenever I arrived at the studio at 9 a.m., he was there. And he looked very uncomfortable because like he came to the studio, but no one was there. So, and then I was like, oh my gosh. And I checked an email, and then you know, it should be on 10 a.m. He just misread an email. So that means I don't have much of time. So I said to, you know, the camera guys that I mean to hurry. I you just I'm just gonna give up any aesthetic rule, on this film. Just I need to start really quickly. So we started, and then I and then he's the one that you feel that like star lecturer, things like that. Like he's really good lecturer. So you've like if the question itself um some makes him very excited, and then like he later on he like articulate his answer with smile. Like I feel like, oh, just I'm doing really well. Like, and then obviously the video went really well. I mean, that was kind of relief experience. Like I feel like I screwed up this, but later on he did really good on his interview, and I try my best. So I try to satisfy with him. So I split two episodes. So I already posted like two videos, and it didn't go well. So I combined that together. I decided to combine that together. Um, and then post later, a month later, and it got right now it's like 300K views.
The last question I usually ask all my guests is if you can travel back to when you were 17 years old, what would you tell yourself?
Yeah, things gonna be okay. That's what I want to say always. Because if I think about my 17, I was like, I don't know why I was so depressed. There was a huge depression on me, and then I want to almost commit the suicide myself. It was living is kind of meaningless at the time, but because the reason why is I didn't get almost along with my friends. Like I don't think I can do great on filming things like that. All of other you know bad things came out, and then it affects me when I was little. And then since the I cannot expect the future. Probably that makes me think about like that. But right now, all of worriness will be meaningless at some point, and it gives you that creates a story. Also, you can if you recall the story, you can think about the lesson you learned, or even just small joy, like that will be memorable out of your depression. Anyways, like yeah, that's all I'll say. Things will be okay. Just keep trying.
Keep trying towards your like actual goals, being
Whatever,
whatever, just keep.
whatever. Rather than just doing nothing and think about like bad things, just go walk somewhere, like work out, talk to people, just whatever. Just instead of staying inside the room, just keep trying anything.
Yeah, well, Dowon, I'm so thankful for your time. Been my absolute pleasure. Love what you're doing at EO.
Mhm.
It's inspired me and my friends to basically start this and all my other startups.
Mhm.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.